Hello, readers. Welcome back to Read and Succeed. For the past few days, I've been noticing that you all have been showing so much love to the series My Pet Slime on our YouTube channel, and it makes our team so happy that you are learning something and getting entertained at the same time by watching our read louds. So, on the account of that, let's read the part 4 of My Pet Slime, Cosmo to the Rescue. Written by Courtney Shine Mel, illustrated by Rennie Corella. Chapter 1: Wow and Pow. At the end of each day, my dad likes to ask me what my wow and pow were. The wow means the best part of your day, the pow means the worst part. I think that we all remember that Piper told that to us in the first part as well, when her grandmother came to visit her. Do you all remember? If you all do, then write in the comment section. Let's read ahead. Want some examples? Well, if you had a mostly bad day because you dropped your lunch in the mud on the way to school and your teacher made you feel bad in front of the whole class because you forgot to do your spelling homework and it was still raining on the way home, your wow can be something small, like at least your umbrella didn't break. Or if you had a mostly good day because the sun was shining and it was your birthday and you got all the presents you wished for, plus the world's most delicious cake. Your pow can be something as teeny tiny as getting a paper cut from the wrapping paper. Sometimes it's hard to decide what my wows and pows are, and I have to think really hard to come up with something. But today I didn't have to think hard at all. My wow was, I have a new pet. I made him myself, out of slime. I know. A slime pet doesn't sound like a real pet. But Cosmo is real. That's his name, by the way. Cosmo. He's as friendly as a hamster, and he can do tricks like a dog. But mostly he likes to cuddle with me. I've never had a pet before, and having Cosmo is the wowest wow I've ever had. Well, readers, I think that Piper is really happy that she finally has a pet, because as we all read in the previous parts that she is allergic to almost all animals that she wants. But due to some mysterious incident, the slime that she made turned into a pet, and she's the most that's the wowest thing that happened to her. So let's read ahead. But my pow was, my grandma is missing. My parents are pretending that it's not a big deal. They say Grandma Sadie takes mysterious trips all the time without telling us where she's going. That part is true. Grandma works at Astroblast Explorers, and her job is to go out and explore space. She's not allowed to talk about it that much, but her boss at Astroblast Explorers always knows where she is, even if she doesn't tell us. Except not this time. Her boss called Mom and said that Grandma Sadie didn't show up at work. Grandma's boss doesn't know where she is. No one knows where she is. I know my parents are scared, even if they won't admit it. I'm scared too. It's the powest pow I've ever had. Sometimes when your pow is really bad, it's hard to be excited about your pow, no matter how big of a wow it is. That's how I was feeling. I loved Cosmo so much, but he couldn't distract me from being worried about Grandma Sadie. Mom and Dad told me it was time for bed. They each came in to say goodnight. Mom rubbed my back, which is what she does when I'm having trouble falling asleep. I closed my eyes and breathed a little bit deeper, so she'd think I was sleeping. She gave me a kiss on the forehead and walked out of the room. I heard the click of the door closing and opened my eyes. Cosmo? I asked. He gurgled from under my bed, and I reached down to pick him. Mom and Dad think Cosmo is just a blob of slime and not a real pet. That's because he comes alive only for me and not for anyone else. Oh, except Claire. She's the most popular kid in my class at school. For some reason, Cosmo comes alive for her too. I wanted to figure out why, but I was too busy worrying about Grandma Sadie to think about it. Grandma Sadie's the reason you're here, I told Cosmo. Did you know that? Cosmo gurgled. Did that mean yes or no? I wasn't sure. So I decided to explain it to him. Yesterday, I made slime in my room. I'm not allowed to make slime in my room, but that's not the important part of the story. What's important is that I shaped my slime into something that looked like a pet. It was the size of a kitten, but rounder, with big eyes, a teeny mouth, and arms just long enough to give hugs. That probably sounds familiar, because I was making you. I squeezed Cosmo closer, and he hugged me back. Oh, you're the coziest pet ever, I said. But at first, I didn't think you were a real pet, because, well, slime isn't usually alive. Then Grandma Sadie came over for dinner. She'd been on a trip to a secret destination in space, and she brought me back a present. Cosmo gurgled. I'm pretty sure he was asking what was the present. I'll tell you what it was, I said. It was space dust. The thing about space dust is that it looks a lot like regular dust, but regular dust isn't that special. So at first I wasn't excited, but when I got into bed, I heard a strange sound coming from the ball of space dust. I got up to check things out. That's when I noticed that the dust had started glowing. I opened the bottle. The dust flew out and landed on you. You were just a blob back then, but you sparkled and turned live. So you see, Cosmo, Grandma didn't really give me a dust as a present. She gave me a new best friend. Cosmo and I cuddled some more. It felt really cozy. I closed my eyes and tried to go to sleep, but it was no use. I'm really worried about Grandma Sadie, I said, opening my eyes again. I have to do something about it. Will you help me? Cosmo gurgled, and I knew he meant yes. Chapter 2. Dear Piper McLean. The problem was I didn't know what Cosmo or I could do about Grandma Sadie. I didn't know where she was, and I didn't know how to find her. All I had was her email address. I wrote her a thank you for the space dust email last night, and I already checked to see if she wrote back. She didn't. Let's check my email again, I told Cosmo. Maybe she wrote back since the last time I looked. If she hasn't, we'll send another email. Do you think that's a good idea? Cosmo nodded his head. Did you just nod? I cried. Oh, wow, Cosmo. You've never nodded before. That's a brand new trick. I'm so proud of you. Can you shake your head too? Cosmo nodded. Oh boy, I said. That's another nod, not a shake. But then I realized that I probably need to ask him a no-answer question to get a shake. Are Brussels sprouts your favorite fruit? I asked. Cosmo shook his head. Me neither, I said. Good boy. But enough tricks for now. We have an email to write. Let's go to Dad's office. Dad's office is here, in our house. That's where he writes his books. I held Cosmo in my arms as I crept down the hall. The door to Mom and Dad's bedroom was mostly closed, but not all the way. I knew he had to be extra careful. I held my finger to my lips so Cosmo would know not to make a sound, not even a single gurgle. I tiptoed closer and closer. I could hear Mom and Dad's voices on the other side of the room. I'm sure this is all a misunderstanding, Erin, Dad said. Erin is my mom's name. By tomorrow, or maybe the day after, Sadie will let everyone know where she is, and we'll all laugh about how worried we were. I hope so, Tom, Mom said. Tom is my dad's name. Because I'm certainly not laughing right now. See, I knew they were scared, too. I put Cosmo on my shoulder and got on my hands and knees to crawl past the door. That way, Mom and Dad wouldn't even see my shadow. One turn at the end of the hall and we were at Dad's office. I closed the door softly behind me and raced to the computer. Oops, I forgot to turn on the light. I needed light to be able to see the keyboard. I was about to head back to flip the switch, but before I could, Cosmo blinked and started to glow. Seconds later, he was as bright as a light bulb. Whoa, Cosmo, I said. That trick is amazing. Way better than nodding or shaking your head, or even learning to sit or fetch. He gurgled, and I could tell he was proud of himself. He stayed right there on the desk, the cutest light in the whole world, while I logged into my email account. I pressed enter and held my breath. Please let there be an email from Grandma, I thought. Please, please, please. My email showed that I had one new message. It had to be from Grandma. It just had to be. But when I clicked on my inbox, the name of the sender was someone I'd never heard before. Someone named Mala. Capital M, lowercase a, capital L, lowercase a. A weird name, and no last name. My heart thumped as I read what she had written. Dear Piper McLean, this email will disappear within 5 minutes of being opened, so you better read fast. You have something we want, and we have something you want. Or should we say, we have someone you want. If you want to see your grandmother again, you need to bury the bottle of space dust in the window box outside your bedroom. Do this before the sun comes up tomorrow morning. We'll take care of the rest. Don't tell anyone about this email. Sincerely, Mala. Cosmo, I cried. Grandma Sadie's been kidnapped. Chapter 3. Planting dust. Before we read the third chapter, what just happened is so exciting. I mean, the word exciting is not the correct word, but I'm really excited to know what happens next. But I'm really worried about Grandma Sadie as well. And also, have you guys wondered yet that the Piper does not really have the space dust right now? She only has Cosmo, and Cosmo was made from the space dust. So if she wants Grandma, she'll need to give Cosmo to Mala. I am so worried for Cosmo. I really hope that she gets her grandmother back without sacrificing Cosmo. Well, we'll see what happens next. Chapter 3. Planting dust. Dad's office door swung open, and the Cosmo light went dark. Piper, Dad said, what are you doing in here? He flicked on the light switch and stepped towards me, and towards the computer screen. But Mala had said not to tell anyone. What would happen to Grandma if Dad saw the email? No, Dad, I cried. You can't come in here. Of course I can, Dad said. It's my office. But you shouldn't be in here. Not this late. Not without my permission, and not with slime. Poor Cosmo. He was just a non-glowing slime blob again. Didn't Mom have a conversation with you about the do's and don'ts of slime last night? Dad said. She said I wasn't allowed to make slime by myself in my room. I said, right, Dad said. And you're not allowed to have it that close to my computer. I don't want my keyboard to get sticky now. Now, what are you hiding? Nothing, I lied, crossing my fingers under the desk. Dad took one more step and looked at the computer screen. My heart began to pound, but the second that he got close enough to see the screen, the email from Mala disappeared. I didn't think it would really happen. How did it do that? Was it magic? My other old emails were still up on the screen. You're checking your email? Dad asked. I nodded. Oh, Piper, he said. I know you're worried about Grandma Sadie and want to hear from her. I nodded again. That was true. She didn't write me back yet, I said. Don't you worry, Dad said. Grandma Sadie is fine. You don't know that for sure. That's true. I don't, Dad admitted. But when I don't know things, I look to familiar experiences in the past. In the past, every time we haven't known where Grandma was, she turned out to be just fine. So this time, I'm sure it will end up the same way. Don't you think so? I wanted to think so, but I knew something Dad didn't. Mala, whoever they were, just kidnapped Grandma. Well, since Grandma was a grown-up, she couldn't exactly be kidnapped, but she'd been grown-up napped. Come on, Pipe, Dad said. Let's get you back to bed. I scooped up the blob version of Cosmo and followed Dad down the hall to my room. He kissed me goodnight again. Go to sleep. Take two, he said. But take two of sleep didn't work either. Now I had two problems. Grandma Sadie was still missing. Mala told me to bury the space dust, but I didn't have it anymore. All of the space dust was in Cosmo. Now that Dad had left the room, Cosmo was alive again. He snuggled close, gurgling his good Cosmo gurgles. I don't know how the space dust brought you to life, but I'm so glad it did, I told him. I've known you for only a day, but now I can't imagine my life without you, he gurgled some more. But now I don't have any space dust left for Mala, I said. I don't know what to do. Unless... Cosmo looked up at me, waiting for the unless. Cosmo, I said. Remember how you told me I wasn't excited to get space dust at first because space dust just looked like regular dust? He nodded. Good job nodding, I said. And listen to this. Maybe I can give regular dust to Mala and they won't know the difference. They'll let Grandma go and everything will get back to normal. Can you turn on your light again? Cosmo blinked and began to glow. Thanks, boy, I said, and jumped out of bed. For the first time in life, I was excited about cleaning. Well, I was excited about dusting. I swiped a finger across my shelf and got a good chunk of dust. Now I needed the bottle to put it in. The bottle... Where had I put it? Oh, right. I hid it in my top desk drawer. I pulled the drawer open and grabbed the bottle. I unscrewed the top and smudged the dust inside. That looks like enough dust, right, Cosmo? I asked. Cosmo shook his head. Maybe I should put some more dust in there, just in case. I swiped my finger across the next shelf, but my finger came up dustless. Where can I find more dust? I gazed around my room, not seeing any, until my eyes fell on the top of my bulletin board. There was a layer of dust along the edge of the frame. I climbed up on my desk chair, which I'm not supposed to do. Then I stood on my desk, which I'm also not allowed to do. If Mom or Dad saw me, they'd be real mad. But Mom and Dad were all the way down the hall. I swiped my finger across the top of the bulletin board and put the dust in the bottle. Then I put the top back on the bottle and climbed off my desk. Phew, Cosmo, I said. That should be enough for Mala. Now all I have to do is bury the bottle in the window box. Let's do it right now, okay? He nodded. I opened my window and shivered. The night air was really chilly. Luckily, this wouldn't take long. I scooped up some dirt next to the irises. There was an artist named Georgia O'Keefe, who was famous for painting flowers. Her purple iris paintings were my favorites, and that's why Dad painted irises in my window box. I put the ball of dust in the hole and smoothed the dirt back into place, being extra careful around the roots of my flowers. Then I patted down the dirt. My fingers were cold as I was really close to the window, and get back under my cozy covers with Cosmo. But before I did, I looked up at the night sky. Grandma had told me that when we look up the night sky, we're just seeing a silver of the stars. In our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, there are billions of stars in the Milky Way, and billions more galaxies in the universes. No matter how many space trips Grandma takes, she's never get to see it all. I'm gonna get you back, Grandma, I said to the sky. I promise you. Chapter 4. Another email. My plan was to stay awake all night long. That way, when Mala came to collect the space dust, I'd get to see who they were and make sure they let Grandma go. But when I opened my eyes, it was morning. I didn't even remember closing my eyes. The sun was streaming through the blinds. The sun reminded me of Grandma too. She told me a bunch of facts about it, such as the sun is a star. It's not the brightest star in our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, but it is closest to the Earth. That's why it seems to be the brightest star in the sky. The sun is actually not close at all. It would take us months and months in our fastest spacecraft to get there. Cosmo was sleeping next to me. The light from the sun was making his cute purple cheeks a little bit rosy. I climbed out of the bed, careful not to wake him up, and opened the window to check if Mala had come. The dirt in the window box was all messed up, and the irises were flopping sideways. It didn't look at all like a Georgia O'Keeffe painting. But I didn't care. I rooted my hand around to check that the bottle was gone, and it was. Cosmo, wake up! He opened his eyes and made his morning gurgle sounds. The bottle's gone, I said. Come on, let's see if Grandma's back. We can fix the flowers later. I picked up Cosmo and ran down the hall. Mom and Dad were sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee. Good morning, sweetheart. Mom, I said. I heard you had a hard time falling asleep last night. I was worried about Grandma, I said. Did she call yet? Not yet, Mom said. Maybe she emailed, I said. I already checked my email. You should check it again, I told her. Mom picked up her cell phone. I've been checking all morning, she said. I'm sure that Grandma Sadie is fine, Dad said. I should get a cell phone so I can check my emails all the time just like you, I told Mom. No, I don't think so, Mom said. 8 years is too young for a cell phone, but nice try. You can use my computer to check now if you want, Dad said, but you have to leave your slime here. I didn't want to be away for Cosmo, but he turned back into a blob anyway since Mom and Dad were in the room. Then I'd be gone for just a few minutes. You'll be fine here, I whispered, and I put Cosmo the blob on my chair. Then I headed to Dad's office. I logged into my email. There was one new message. My heart felt like it had leapt up to my throat. Please let it be from Grandma. Please let it be. Please, please. But the sender was Mala. And the message said, Dear Piper McLean, this email will disappear within 5 minutes of being opened. We know that you have tried to trick us into thinking Earth dust was space dust, but we cannot be tricked. We will get our hands on the space dust no matter what we have to do to get it. Do not tell anyone about this email. Sincerely, Mala. I stared at the computer screen. I didn't know what to do. What could I do? Well, I could write back to Mala and explain that the space dust had spilled into Cosmo, but what if they said I had to put Cosmo in the window box? Anything? Dad asked from the doorway. What do you mean? Is there an email from your grandmother? Oh, I said, no, there's not. Dad stepped forward. My heart thumped with worry that he'd seen what Mala had written, but the message disappeared before he got close enough to see the screen. Dad put his hand on my shoulder. I know it's hard to be worried about someone you love. Yeah, it is. Your mom... Your mom is having a tough time too, he said. To tell you the truth, so am I. I have an idea. Let's all do a family project together. Who is Mala? Find out in My Pet Slime, Cosmo to the Rescue, Book 5. So readers, that's the end of the part 4 of this series. Well, this book was so interesting and it made me so curious. Who is Mala? What will Piper have to do next? What about Cosmo? And is Grandma Sadie alright? Well, all of these questions are going to be answered in Book 5. And I hope that you all enjoyed today's Read Aloud. Please continue showing your love on our videos on Read and Succeed. It seriously makes our day. Well, thank you all for watching. Please like our video and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you all in the next Read Aloud. Bye!